Good evening, Dynasty sickos and pure potential enjoyers. We are here tonight for the first ever real money startup draft, live streamed here on Pure Potential. Big shout out to Freelster in the members chat for commissioning this league and getting it filled up. Big shout out to all the boys that are going to be drafting tonight. We've got a $50 Dynasty League here, 12 teams, start 10, Superflex, PPR, tight end premium. This league was filled entirely inside of the Pure Potential Discord. Free link to join that Discord down in the description. We've got lots of other startups and orphan teams available in there in the Find a League channel. But I did post this opening last week. We had no trouble getting it filled up. We had interest beyond the 12 spots. So I'd love to do this again, but we are here. We're going to get this draft started in just a minute. For any of the viewers out there that are hanging out for the stream, I will be answering Dynasty questions throughout while I provide commentary, but going to prioritize the draft whenever necessary if any crazy stuff happens. Let's get over into the draft room here. And Freelster, if you're watching, you can go ahead and hit that start draft button. We're going to get this thing going because I know it's going to take us quite a while to get through this startup draft. Now, a little bit of a different layout here for the draft if you've done one of these with us before. Changed up some graphics here, but I've got the details on the side just so nobody's confused what type of league we're drafting here. $50 buy-in, 12 teams, start 10, Superflex, PPR, tight end premium. And when you see kickers coming off the board, do not be alarmed, okay? Kickers are representative of Dynasty rookie picks, 2026 rookie picks. All right, our draft is underway. Now we've got ourselves a 90-second clock here. So these guys can take their time. They can deliberate over their picks as this is a real startup. But we're underway here with Josh Allen as the first pick. I can catch up a little bit on the chat. I see a lot of our boys here that are in the league. Apologies if I miss any of you, but I did catch our commissioner, Freelster, here in the chat. We got Rich Hill in the league. We got Flames 600. I think this message means he's in the league. I'm not sure. Or maybe he's just endorsing somebody in the league. But we've got, I recognize some of these other usernames here. We got Ryan9991. We got a couple Ryans in here. Ryan Host03. That's one of our members. Random Nacho, one of our league winning members. Shout out to him. Wes, I'm in a league with Wes with the Elmo profile picture. So this should be a good draft. We are underway here. First few picks down. Josh Allen, Drake May, Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua. Nothing too shocking to kick things off. You might notice that some of these picks are not with their original owners. So because we got this league filled up several days ago, I did go ahead and tell them, go ahead, you guys can make trades. So they made some deals behind the scenes. And so I will be trying to click on these teams from time to time so you can really see where they line up. Rich Hill, as you can see, doesn't have any picks until round 4, but he actually snagged Josh Allen and Puka Nacua here at the top. Neighborhood Watch has done a little bit of moving around. A lot of these guys have been pretty active, and that makes sense because they are Dynasty degenerates. I'm really interested to see how Sharkbait's team stacks up here. You can see he has no picks in the first 2 rounds, but he does have 4 picks here at the end of round 3 and 4. He's got 2 fifth-round picks. I'm a little confused at what's going on here. It doesn't seem like he has enough capital here to make up for what he's given up, so I have to assume this guy has stacked up some 2027 picks. If he's in the chat, Sharkbait, if you're in the chat, feel free to let us know what exactly you're cooking up here, because you've got 6 picks through the first 10 rounds and none of them are early. So that's going to be unique. We get our first running back off the board with Bijan Robinson at 106, followed by Brock Bowers at 107. That's a real ball knower pick there. New head coach Clint Kubiak undoubtedly going to spoil any discount we were going to get on Brock Bowers this offseason after a down year, but it is what it is. Hope you have your bags packed. Now, that was actually the second first round pick for our friend Jason Simon here. So Dalton Mania also doesn't have a first round pick. He's not quite in the same insane camp as Sharkbait, though. Cap 10, what's up? Welcome in. I see Austin here in the chat. I see T-Hum in the chat asking about Sharkbait's 2027 draft haul. I don't know. If anybody's in the league, let me know. Oh, and by the way, guys, stick around. If you stick around till round 15, I'm going to be awarding some... I'm going to be giving out some awards, like some senior superlative type awards. I'm not going to do like full roster reviews for everybody, but I will be giving out some awards for these teams. So just stay tuned for that. Just a fun little wrinkle we're going to do later on. For now, feel free to hit me with some Dynasty questions. I don't think anything too insane is going to happen here early on, but it's at least a good look at what the market looks like right now. We get Gibbs at 8 and Neighbors at 9. We get Sharkbait here in the chat. He says he's looking for the future, not amazing at drafting great teams and startups, so trying to get good talent early on and build for the future, maybe lock up that 101 pick. So, understandable. We see here Shark has 3 2027 firsts, 2 seconds, and an extra 2028 first. Yeah, so 2 extra. So he's accumulated an extra second and 3 extra firsts. I'm not sure if that adds up for me as far as like what I would want to have given up all these picks. But if he can make sure that one of them is the 101 and maybe he lucks out, gets another early one, it could work out. We definitely have an early contender though for that 2027 101. I have no idea if this is a real question. Codes 5631. Thoughts on Ryan Flournoy? I'm going to be honest. I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about Ryan Flournoy. He's a guy that I guess in a full PPR, deeper dynasty league, you can roster as an end of bench guy. I think it's a virtual lock that George Pickens is back with the Cowboys. And if he's not, I think that the Cowboys are going to prioritize getting a second wide receiver. But he exists. He's had a couple of interesting games in his career. He's like 26 or 27 years old, despite being fairly new in the league. So those are all my thoughts on Ryan Flournoy. Would you trade the 111 and 112 for a base 2027 first? That's kind of interesting with how this class has shaped up. I guess it depends on what we mean by a base first, because like right now, there's not a lot of teams where you can truly say this first could be anywhere. So if you mean it's like a fringe playoff team, could be, mid, like top, it could be 5 or 6, could be 8 or 9. I'm not sure if I'm inclined to do that. If you think that it's a fragile team that's at least has some outside chance of like really crumbling and ending up early, I'd be pretty tempted by that, because I just don't think you're getting prospects at the end of the first that are like you're super excited about. They probably look more like 202, 203 type of prospects in another year. So yeah, I'm probably talking myself into that, taking that 27-1. Looking into the draft here, I really do love the value on Jaden Daniels here at the 112. I like the value on Lamar as well. 110, 112 for these quarterbacks. It's not to say that any of the picks ahead of them were necessarily bad, but I just think it's awesome that you can get these guys as late as you can. I actually am not sure if this is 6-point or 4-point passing touchdowns. If somebody in the league wants to drop an update for me, I don't actually know. We get Jefferson, Caleb here at the turn. Those are definitely our most like off script picks so far. I'm not really of the opinion that Jefferson is worth first round consideration these days, just because of the quarterback situation. Not really his, not his fault at all, but just really really uncertain. Like he was wide receiver 28 last year. Hopefully things get better, but I don't think they're going to get better enough for me to love Jefferson at that price. It's 6-point passing touchdowns. That makes me feel even better about the Lamar and Daniels value, just because quarterbacks relative to other positions are going to score more. So that's really, really solid. We get Genty here at 203. I don't hate that at all. I'm very, very high on Genty. Him and Genty and, well, I won't spoil. I'm not going to name any other names, but I do think Genty is a guy that in this current market with the way running backs are valued is definitely someone that should be pushed up, because the pass catching he flashed as a rookie, the Mendoza edition, the Clint Kubiak edition, I mean, it is all very, very bullish. Question from I'm sold 44444. Do you still like Oronde Gadsden? Hold as a future producer. Yeah, I still like him. I think I'm still higher on him than the market. I did kind of have to recalibrate my expectations a bit. I think I was really holding on to that early season production when, you know, there are genuine route concerns with him. He has to develop a lot as a blocker if he's going to get the full route share, the kind of route share we want. And we don't want to get confused about the Mike McDaniel hire, because yes, he propped up Jonnu Smith in that miracle season that he had, but that was a very broken offense where they didn't really have other weapons to go to. Traditionally, Mike McDaniel's like move tight ends have run like 65-70% of the routes. That's not going to be enough to give us like top tier upside, but he's a young player. I think he's talented. He's in a good offense. So I still like him. I'm not like actively trying to move off of him. I didn't realize Amon-Ra St. Brown was still on the board. This is a nasty start here. Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I see Frillster's moved around the board a little bit here. He's got another pick coming up in the second, and he still has his third. So I'm definitely curious what he gave up. I'm guessing he gave up his 27 first, because this is Sharkbait's pick. But yeah, that's an interesting one. He's going to have a really, really solid start here. And then we get CeeDee Lamb. So I guess what I'm not sure about is why we would prefer Justin Jefferson over Amon-Ra and CeeDee Lamb at this point. Like, in a vacuum, is Jefferson the better talent? Yeah, I think so. But they're not like tiers apart in ability. And we've seen the track record of Amon-Ra and Lamb as producers with, you know, they have far better quarterbacks, far better offensive environments, similar age. I think Lamb is like a tiny bit older than Jefferson, and Jefferson is older than Amon-Ra. So yeah, I would just take those wide receivers first, would be my big thing. We also have Brandon Aubrey off the board here, the 101 in 2026 to random Nacho. He's got kind of a young build going here, and maybe not like the most aggressively win now build. You go with a Neighbors off the ACL with that rookie running back. So building kind of a young team that can maybe be a little frisky, not going to be the favorite right off the bat. Jacob Shercliffe. Okay, I see you've got that cleared up. Yeah, kickers are rookie picks. Rookie 101 here. Hopefully people will read the signage on the settings below. We get Burrow here off the board. So no wide receivers in the first two rounds for this gentleman, Bijan and Burrow. We get Drake London off the board to Dalton Mania. So he starts out with Lamb London. I do like London a lot. I'm not a big Michael Penix guy, but I kind of think, I think Penix is like baseline competent enough to feed Drake London. Like we saw that this past year. I'm not that high on Penix individually, but if they have the volume, London's going to be open. They don't really have any other weapons, especially if they let Pitts walk in free agency. It's going to be very thin. He's a little bit younger than these other players, and he, in theory, we haven't seen it for a full season, but in theory, he has the same type of ceiling as those guys. We've got Frillster back on the board with his third pick of the draft already. Who is he going to add to this arsenal? I see some interesting quarterbacks on the board. Probably too early for another running back, I would think. Probably too early for another tight end, but we'll see what he's got up his sleeve. This feels like maybe a little bit of a teardrop, unless I'm thinking of some names. No, I mean, I like the quarterbacks here. This is definitely a quarterback zone in this late second, which can make it tricky to build teams out of the 1 and 2 spot if you don't want to go double quarterback. Because I think I'd have to pull up my rankings to see for sure, but I think the best players here are pretty much all quarterbacks. Like my next two guys after Herbert are both quarterbacks before we get into another running back and a tight end. But you could jump leapfrog. Yeah, Achane I think I have Achane as my 24th or 25th overall player. So I can understand if you want to push quarterback, you want to go that way later, then I can see pushing Achane up into the second round. This is a 3rd round reversal draft, so we're going to jump back to the front of the order after the neighborhood watch makes this actually 2 picks here. He's another guy that has 3 picks in the first 2 rounds. We'll see if he doubles down on quarterback. If not, it'll be pretty interesting to see where he goes at other positions. I see one clear wide receiver that I would take next. And there's a couple quarterbacks I like. Half point tight end premium league on the clock right now going Fannin or Bucky. I'll take Fannin personally. I like Bucky. I mean, I love Bucky Irving. I just think there's a couple things working against him. Maybe 2 or 3 things. One, whenever you are an undersized running back without draft capital, you have to work really hard to convince every new coaching staff that you are the guy and that you deserve the type of workload that you need in fantasy to be really productive. The other thing working against him is that he was actually not good last year. Like you look at all of his advanced metrics, he was not efficient as a rusher. He was likely very banged up. I don't think the offense itself was very good. But that's an issue. And then the other issue is just what we saw last year with the Sean Tucker usage at the goal line. Now we have a new OC on the team, but I just don't want to presume that Bucky Irving, at 189 pounds or whatever he is just going to like have a monopoly on goal line when Sean Tucker in his own right is a good running back. So I'm exercising a little bit of caution with Bucky Irving as much as I want to like him, because I think he could get kind of Kenneth Walkered a little bit, and that is very frustrating. And I see the updated question here. I would definitely take Fannin over those other options. Rich says the FOMO is setting in hard for him, has to wait until the 4th round after making his 2 first-round selections. That is really tough. I really do like how Neighborhood Watch ended this round, though. He goes Jalen Hurts, Tedero McMillan. I think those are great picks. Very strong start here. JSR, Tucker is a restricted free agent because he was an undrafted player. So what that means is it's very easy for the Buccaneers to retain his rights. And because Rachaad White is going to walk as a free agent, I just think that they're likely to bring him back as opposed to just emptying out the running back room. So I think he will be back. Super chat here from Colin. Appreciate you, dude. Thanks a lot. Bowers and the 205 or London and Gadsden. I'm going to go Bowers there. Definitely prefer Gadsden to the 205, but I have enough of a gap with Bowers and London that I would just go with Bowers. I like the chance of that positional advantage, assuming this is a tight end premium league. In a non-tight end premium league, I'll go with the London side, but assuming it's at least like half point tight end premium, I would rather have the Dynasty tight end 1 in Brock Bowers. So thanks again, Colin. See, Walrain, I hear what you're saying here, and I like, you're not necessarily wrong, except the sequencing of how things played out was like super unfortunate, where he was genuinely getting the usage that we expected to see. Like all of the breakout predictions were right through 4 weeks. He was getting all of the touches, 20 touches a game. He was playing near the goal line. He was getting the receiving work. And then he gets this weird injury. And then there's this weird like off-field stuff where he's making Instagram posts and people are making vague comments. And then he comes back and he's in this like weird committee where he's still the starter, but not getting goal line. I don't know. I'm not sure how foreseeable it all was, because it really did feel like the pro Bucky side was very correct to start the year. Certainly, if you know, pattern matching with day 3 picks, it definitely matches a lot of other stories. I'm just not sure if it's the same type of situation. I like the picks we're seeing here to start round 3. Hampton, Mahomes, Loveland, Dart. This feels like a bit of a sweet spot, and it's actually part of, I think if you're doing a 3rd round reversal startup draft, I think you really do want to be at this back end, because there's a combination of things here where you're getting really good value on Lamar and Daniels right now. You can often get those guys late. If not, you can probably get Neighbors or Amon-Ra. Those are great picks late. And then you're also getting these 3rd round picks. And I think things are going to fall off quickly here. Like by the back end of the 3rd round, I think we're looking at a different caliber of player. I really do. Like these guys, Hampton, Mahomes, Loveland, Dart, these are kind of 2 firsts for me, like in the 2 first range. And I think it does drop off a little tier by the back end. So if you're in a 3rd round reversal, yes, you get Josh Allen, Drake May, Jamar Chase. I do think your next 2 picks are pretty significantly diminished relative to the other side of the board. Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Colson Loveland fan, about as big as you'll find. And I mean, 112, unless it's a 1.0 tight end premium, maybe I could see it. Mega tight end premium or 2 tight end, I can see it. That's too high for me. I have him as my 25th overall player in half point. So right about where he went in this one is where I would take him. I do think he's pretty awesome and could get to that point eventually, but let's not put the cart before the horse there. Emeka Ibuka, I'm going to assume that this is a joke. I mean, I saw a tweet like this, but like, let's be for real. Joe Burrow is not getting traded to the Vikings. That is just simply fantasy football wish casting of the highest degree. All right. Frailster goes with the rookie 102 as his 3rd round pick, and then he sits out until round 6. So that's going to be interesting for him. We get Nico Collins off the board to go with a wide receiver heavy start here for Dalton Mania 13. I like it. The 3 wide receiver start. You know, you had to pay a little bit more to get this start last year, scooping a bit of a discount on Lamb and Nico. We got the running back heavy start here with Bijan and Taylor, punting the wide receiver position a little bit. And we get Chris Olave here in the late 3rd. I like the conviction on Olave. 3.8. That's 32nd overall. That might actually be higher than my ranking. It's a couple spots. It's a couple spots higher than my ranking, but I do not hate it. I actually have Olave ahead of Nico. I don't know if you guys think that's a hot take. I have Olave over Nico just because he's about a year younger. And, you know, what we saw last year is we saw Stroud really struggling again after his year 2 struggles. We saw Tyler Shuck really step up late in the season. We saw Olave dominate as the same type of high-end target earner and efficient wide receiver that we've seen from Nico. So at this point, I'm not sure, other than if you have like lingering injury concerns with Olave, the blood clot thing, the concussions, unless you're really factoring that in, I don't know why I'd prefer Nico moving forward over Olave. I do really like both guys. Austin, Olave's ranked 32, but you're not counting the rookie picks. So he's actually 35. I am not in this draft, actually. I am just commentating. So I wanted to be able to just sit back and talk about a draft without having to be worried about setting a queue or anything. And then also, I wasn't actually interested in joining another live paid startup full of all these sharks that are going to steal my money. So I'm just watching this one from the sidelines, giving some thoughts, answering questions. What's up, Marty? You got offered a 2026 110 and 207 for Harrison. Is that a good deal? No, I wouldn't move Harrison for that. I would want, if I'm moving Marvin Harrison, and don't get me wrong, like he's not a guy that I'm thrilled to roster. I just like would be targeting an asset of a higher caliber in return rather than a late first. Maybe your league is just really low on him. If that's the case, I'd probably just rather roll the dice. But yeah, I'd be looking more in the, how do you get into like a Emeka Ibuka, Zay Flowers, Quinshon Judkins, Cam Scattaboo. I'd at least be looking in that range as opposed to the 110. Dynasty Dave says Nico's age gives me a slight pause on him. He'll be 27 this offseason. So that's not an age I'm really concerned about. He's not really much older than, like, how old is Justin Jefferson? Yeah, he's the same age as Justin Jefferson. He's 3 months older. So I'm not that worried about him from an ability standpoint. I think he's awesome. I'm tired of waiting for the Texans passing game to actually have upside. So I like him I still have him ranked as a late third round startup pick. I just don't have the same high hopes I had for him at one point. What's the outlook on Bo Nix? Pretty much the same as this year. Like, I think he's going to project as like the QB 10, QB 11, and that's probably how he's going to score. He's mobile enough to have a decently high floor. He's a good enough passer. They don't have tremendous weapons there. Maybe they add somebody this offseason, but yeah, I don't view him as like a major high ceiling quarterback unless he gets some like random touchdown rate spike, but I wouldn't bet on him doing that over anybody else in particular. Chris Albano, if you will direct your attention to the lovely little settings list here on the left, you'll see that kickers are rookie picks. So if you've never seen a startup like this, each kicker represents a pick in the 2026 rookie draft. Brandon Aubrey is the 101. So that was what was drafted there. Cameron Dicker's the 102. Jake Bates is the 103, and so on and so forth. Sharkbait did make his first selection in the draft. If anybody missed it, he got George Pickens here at the 311. Now, seeing his strategy is going to be interesting because he's obviously drafting a team that is future oriented. So he's going double wide receiver here with Pickens and Wilson. And then he's actually got two more picks here at 401 and 42. We'll see if he grabs some quarterbacks for some stability. I don't expect him to go running back here. I don't necessarily see a tight end that I would take, but we shall see. My take on the firsts in this draft, the late firsts, and really like pretty much all the picks outside the top 5 is that, yeah, they're less valuable than previous years, but I think that it's been really, really, really priced in. And so I think it makes a lot more sense right now to buy into those picks and kind of go against the grain than it is to try to sell late firsts, early seconds, because nobody is paying anything reasonable. I'll be interested to see how far they fall in this class. I think it's just frankly gone too far. Like, there's still going to be guys that get drafted high. There's still going to be rookie hype. There's going to be FOMO. I just don't really see why. I just don't really see why they're being faded quite as hard as they are. So yeah, I would be more inclined to trade into the late first than out. Just not because I love the players there, but just because of the prices. There's probably going to be guys that hit late in the first round of the rookie drafts, just most likely. So a bit of a surprising pick here. Sharkbait actually does go running back with Breece Hall. He's not an old running back, but definitely not a guy that I would personally be targeting if I know I'm not competitive, especially because I'm not sure if he has a lot of room to like gain a lot of value and be a good asset to flip in season, because he's probably going to be locked up on the Jets. Now, if the thought process is Breece is actually going to walk in free agency and he's going to be on the Chiefs or something, and I'm getting him now at a discount and sell him for a profit later, I could see that. I just think he's so likely to be stuck with the Jets that I would struggle to take him here. You've also tethered yourself to 2 Jets players right off the bat, which in my experience playing Dynasty has not been a particularly fun environment to be attached to, but we shall see. Michael Morpha, we're going 101 in Drake London here by quite a wide margin. You look here, right? We got Drake London and CeeDee Lamb go 2 picks apart. The 101 went before both of them, and Quinshon Judkins is still not off the board. So I think it's pretty easily that side, the 101 side. Question about Ramondre. Has Ramondre's production in Week 18 plus playoffs made you higher on him or lower on Henderson since the running back tier list? I would have Henderson lower since I made that video. Definitely would have him behind Hampton. I've got him behind Taylor and Cook. It's more that it's not as much about Ramondre's production and more so that Henderson has really underperformed. He's just been really poor on his touches. I don't care that much about Ramondre being efficient if Henderson was also being efficient in a limited role, but he's just really underperformed. The vision has been a problem. The pass protection's been a problem. So he's really going to have to step up. I think he still can. I think he still has really high upside because vision can improve. Pass protection can and probably will improve. But yeah, it's definitely tough right now with Henderson. Someone did ask me a question about Bo Nix, who comes off the board here at 4-3. How much higher is Dart's ceiling than Bo's? I would say quite a bit higher for 2 reasons. One, because the type of rusher and the frequency at which Dart scrambles suggests that he has a rushing ceiling that's like more similar to Jaden Daniels than it is to Bo Nix. Like I think he could be a really high volume rushing quarterback and a guy who maybe rushes for a lot of touchdowns as well. And that's paired with the fact that he comes into the league as like a very raw and young quarterback who's tethered to Malik Neighbors throughout both of their primes, compared to Bo Nix, who comes into the league as more of like a fully developed quarterback, where you just obviously development is not linear, but you just wouldn't expect as much progression from a quarterback that's already 25, 26 years old versus a guy that comes in at 22. I see Dart as having a higher ceiling just from like a rushing standpoint and a talent standpoint. Obviously they go a little less than a round apart here. I think that's super reasonable. All right, we get we get Trevor Lawrence. I'd rather have Trevor Lawrence personally than Nix. I've got him like a little half a tier higher. And there's another quarterback still hanging out here on the board that I would actually prefer to Bo Nix. We'll see how far he falls. I was going to say he'd fall right into Frailster's lap, but he doesn't have a pick, so it'll have to be somebody else. We get Rashee Rice. Dalton Mania goes Rashee Rice, Henderson. So he's got a 4 wide receiver start with Lamb, London, Nico, Rice. Then he goes Henderson. I see some. I see at least one concerned citizen asking about Rice falling to the 4th round pick. I'm not sure if Dylan Taylor is not aware of current events or just doesn't think that they matter, but Rashee Rice is currently already on parole for the first stupid thing that he did. And then his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or ex-fiance, I don't know what the situation is, made an Instagram post about alleged abuse, like a very long-term alleged abuse. And then the league said they were going to investigate it. And I guess because the Instagram post was deleted, people think that this is no longer a concern. That's not the case at all. If they're investigating this, they would probably ask her to take it down. But for all we know, they are still investigating it. Nothing has come out one way or the other. So I think when you're looking at a player that already has one red flag, like humongous red flag on his resume, potentially has another humongous red flag, he's going into the last year of his deal with Mahomes coming off of a multi-ligament tear. It's possible that those two guys, don't have the same type of cheat code efficiency that we've seen in years past. The Chiefs have the 9th overall pick. They could draft a wide receiver like we saw the year that Tyreek Hill had his allegations. I think there's just so many ways that things can go poorly for Rashee Rice. The fact that when his situation is 100% perfect, yes, he can score a lot of points. I just think there's a lot more that has to be considered with Rashee Rice. I would bet against him re-signing with the Chiefs long term. And he's always been a guy that is schemed into production. He's not very good. I mean, he's a good zone beater. He's a very limited wide receiver. I'm not going to be interested in him on another team. So I think the 4th round, 5th round is very much where he belongs right now, just with all the uncertainty. No doubt it's a high upside swing, but it's also a high downside swing. We get Henderson and Judkins here. I do still have Henderson slightly ahead of Judkins. They're both volatile for different reasons. I just think the ceiling for Henderson, if he can figure things out and hit, is higher because of the pass catching upside. And the Browns are just one of those spots where I have such little faith in a big time turnaround happening in the near future, where even if Judkins bounces back from a broken leg, is totally fine next year, I'm not sure how much different it is than what we saw this year, where it was like nowhere to run. There's no receptions. It's like touchdown or bust. And even in that case, he's getting you, 13 points per game. I think he's a good player, and he's probably, almost certainly better running back than Henderson, but circumstances make it tricky. Love the Purdy pick here. That's the last quarterback I was referencing earlier that I like a little bit more than Bo Nix. Same type of that sneaky mobility. He's just been much more efficient. Tied to Kyle Shanahan. He ended up as the QB 2 or 3, I think, in points per game this past year. So I do like Purdy quite a bit. Just have to hope they can get him some weapons. Zay Flowers, 410. I love the conviction. A little bit higher than he'd probably go in a non-pure potential startup. But I respect the commitment. Just want to mention here as we get to the end of 4 rounds, if you are enjoying this live stream, make sure you like the stream. I don't know how many likes we have right now, but probably not enough. Make sure you like the stream. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new, if you're watching this and you've never been here before. And I would love to do this again. So if you are enjoying this, I know you can't leave a comment yet, but maybe leave a comment afterward or ping me on Discord or something. Let me know that you like this, that if you would like to participate in something like this in the future. This has been fun so far. And I think it's a really good way to see what the market looks like. This is a real draft, right? A real draft, real people putting money on the line to draft a real dynasty team. It's not a mock draft, right? So whatever these people are doing, whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, this is a reflection of what real dynasty managers are doing. Yeah, I do think Zay Flowers over the 104 and Bucky Irving, for that matter, over the 104 is a bit of a sketchy decision. I would rather have the 104 personally. I think Wes absolutely is cooking this draft right now. Jaden Daniels, Trey McBride, Amarian Hampton, the 104, and Luther Burden out of the 12 spot. I think this is a beautiful team so far. And he's got one of every color locked in here. One quarterback, one tight end, one running back, one wide receiver, and one kicker. Checking in with some other teams here. We've got Lamar, Genty, Loveland, Flowers. Again, not crazy about the Flowers pick at that price tag. Definitely love the rest of what Ryan's got going on here. I like Nacho's team a lot. Very like young, high upside, but also highly insulated roster. Frielster is very immediate production oriented. Gibbs, Amon-Ra. We've got Herbert and the 102. Not immediate production in a bad way. Like this team's going to come out of the gate hot, but also high value as well. He just has to wait a bit for his other picks. Yeah, so these are interesting. Here we have a team with just 3 players, JSN, Bowers, Olave. We had Sharkbait going in with the unconventional start, trading a lot of his picks for 2027 and 2028 futures. He goes Pickens, Wilson, Breece Hall, Emeka Ibuka with his first 4 picks, and he's actually got 2 of the next 3. We'll see what comes up here. This is a half-point tight end premium league. Felix the GOAT. That's my default at tight end premium there, 0.5. All right, Cam Scattaboo here. I think Sharkbait is like low-key trying to compete this year, even without a first and second round pick. He goes with 2 running backs in his first 5 selections. Pickens and Wilson are, solid wide receivers. Ibuka could break out. This isn't a team that's necessarily locked in to a rebuild. And maybe that's just, I'm very stubborn about rebuilding. I don't think you need to commit to things too early. But I think he at least has a chance here, right? You need to get some monster seasons out of some of these guys, but it's not impossible. We did have 2 tight ends off the board, Tyler Warren followed by Harold Fannin. I think you can really go either way with these 2. I like both picks here in the 5th round. Next rookie pick is 105 for anybody that is not keeping track at home. So not super high. We don't have a lot of warm and fuzzy feelings, I guess, about the 5th pick in this rookie draft. I mean, if I'm Sharkbait, this is a spot where I'm just taking that 105. I don't see any reason not to. You're looking at either almost certainly Fernando Mendoza going before that 5 spot. So you're locking in one of those top 3 wide receivers. If you're going with a young team, you want to grab a safe asset that's insulated. I don't see why you wouldn't do that. But again, what I have run into is that most people are just more willing than I am to sort of say no thank you to this draft class. And I understand that. I just don't really see why we need to go that far with it, I guess. Thoughts on Bucky? I actually talked about Bucky a little bit earlier in the stream. I like him. I don't like him as much as this price. I would take him more around like the 6 or the 7 rookie pick. Probably 106, 107 range. I think he's talented, but he struggled last year. New coach is coming in. He is undersized. You really need your running backs to score touchdowns. If he's not going to get a chance to do that, that is a little bit scary. We don't know for sure yet, but I will say Zach Robinson is the OC, the new OC for the Bucs. He was with the Falcons last year. If you want to look at that in a positive way, really creative receiving usage for Bijan. And I think Bucky does have those skills, not to the same level, but he does have receiving skills. If you want to look at it in a negative way, there were a decent number of Tyler Algier touchdown vultures. And that's with Bijan, who's a much better running back and better goal line back than Bucky. So I think we will see some Sean Tucker regardless. All right, there is Rome. Somebody was asking how many picks between Burden and Rome. The answer is 6. Or I guess 5. 5 in between them. This is a good question. I don't think all start 10 leagues. I mean, I think that's the most common setup for a start 10 would be 3 wide receivers, 2 flex. That's how this one is. But I suppose there are leagues out there with 3 flex and 2 wide receivers. I'm probably in a few like that. So maybe I can clean up the graphics here to be a little bit clearer. Dak Prescott comes off the board. Always a nice value at quarterback, right? I mean, he's a little bit older than these other guys. He's not in any kind of danger of being at the end of his career. I think he's 33. He's going to be top 5 in pass attempts. He's going to have Lamb. He's going to have Pickens. He's probably going to finish as a top 8, 9 quarterback again. Maybe higher, you know. I definitely like Dak. I have a lot of Dak Prescott. Probably one of my most rostered quarterbacks. That's the QB1 here for Jason. Not a bad consolation prize after having to wait until the 5th round. What other quarterbacks are people working with here? Rich has Allen and Lawrence. Neighborhood has May and Hurts. Ryan has Knicks. Sharkbait, no quarterbacks yet. We got Burrow here. Dalton Mania still waiting on his first quarterback. He goes Brian Thomas here at 5-6. Frillster has Herbert. Nacho has Dart and Purdy. Other Ryan has Lamar. Waiting on his second quarterback. He just picked up Barkley here at the late 5th round. I like that pick. After the 105, before the 106. I think that's about right. We got Williams, Mahomes here, and then Wes has Jaden Daniels. No, Jordan Love is definitely falling here. I would say he's like pretty clearly the best value quarterback on the board right now, or the best value player on the board. He's probably my highest ranked. Yeah, definitely my highest ranked. There's another player I'm surprised is still on the board, especially with Barkley off the board. No, I would not anticipate Adonai Mitchell being a weekly flex play. Not one you're happy about, more like a bye week play. Unless the Jets luck into a way better quarterback than I think they can reasonably get, I just don't see how we're going to be excited about the second wide receiver on the Jets. I still like him as a stash. Like, it's not impossible. I just wouldn't bet on it. Yeah, I see a couple comments in here about me tipping picks. I'm here to provide commentary. I'm going to talk about players, whether they're drafted or not drafted. Everybody that signed up for this draft knew that it was going to be broadcast live. Clearly, they're not just picking the players that I name. They are sentient beings capable of making their own decisions. I'm not going to sit here and tell every person what to pick, but like, if there's a player that's falling, I'm going to mention it for the benefit of the audience. It's going to be fine. They're going to be okay. Hey, what's up? The Dynasty domain stopping by for this startup draft. No surprise they like Dalton Mania's start here with the 5 wide receivers. And Henderson. Yeah, I mean, I'm still a sucker for the heavy wide receiver starts. I do enjoy them. I like looking at them. I do worry about them in this current meta, but I think it can go both ways where there is a shortage of elite wide receivers. So if you can stack up multiple elite wide receivers, you're getting an edge at that position. On the other hand, if they underperform, like we saw from Nico, Brian Thomas, even Lamb at times last year, then you're in big trouble. It's definitely viable, though. Rich Hill finally gets another pick here. He goes Tyler Loop 106. Rookie pick. They're going to revolt. Who are we talking about? Austin is really backseat driving my stream right now. Tucker Kraft, man. What an interesting player. Definitely talented enough to warrant this selection here at the 5'11". I just worry about the injury. And I also worry about the volume with him. You know, he was producing above his expected points by quite a bit, which is understandable. He's a very good yak receiver, but to a degree that feels a little unsustainable. And that was early in the season when you had Jaden Reed out with that shoulder, collarbone, whatever it was, injury. And then you also had Christian Watson still out with the ACL. So the production for Tucker Kraft was good. He's just never been a super target dominant player. It's always been crowded there in Green Bay. I'm just I would struggle to take him this high, even though he's really good. Frielster, of course, is the one who scoops the value on Jordan Love. I don't know how he keeps getting away with it, guys. Truly don't know. But I love the value on Love. I mean, I had Jordan Love is my 46th player. So he's solidly a late 4th round rookie or startup selection for me. He goes in the 6th round. I think that's a great value. Our pure potential heads high on Zay Flowers. We're high on Zay Flowers because that dude is sick. He's awesome. He's an awesome wide receiver. He actually finished as the wide receiver 7 overall. I know week 18, whatever, and not points per game. But he is really good. He's very target dominant. What you need for Zay Flowers is very simple. You need Lamar Jackson to play an entire season healthy, and you need him to rank higher than 32nd in pass attempts. That's really it. And then we can see a real breakout from Zay Flowers. But I think he's very talented. Again, I did say I think he went high in this, but I think he's generally undervalued by the community. Domain pointing out the Domain boys pointing out that I ranked Henderson low in the cornerstones. I did. I didn't want to. And people, I did have one commenter who said that I was crazy for that and that I would regret it. And I was surprised. I didn't think anybody was going to tell me the ranking was too low. I thought some people would say, you know, you're delusional. You're still too high on him. You have to drop him again. Somebody said I was crazy and that he's going to be a Gibbs or Achane level running back in the future. So shout out to that guy if he ends up being right. Yeah, so I don't know about the new setup. Did we have we have a new OC confirmed for the Ravens. It's Declan Doyle from the Bears. He doesn't have any experience as a play caller, but I mean, I like the fact that he worked with Ben Johnson. You can kind of go either way in terms of like his tendencies, because the Bears were fairly run heavy. The Baltimore Ravens do set up to be a pretty run heavy team. But at the same time, he might be a little more forward thinking in terms of the neutral pass rate, you know, maybe a little more creative as far as like when they pass. I'm not really sure what to expect. I mean, I'm optimistic about the hire. I like when we get young players that were previously attached to great offensive coaches. That's generally been a recipe for success. But it will be interesting to watch. Travis Hunter comes off the board here at 6'4". For what it's worth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He comes off the board before the rookie 107, along with Marvin Harrison, AJ Brown, T. Higgins also in this round. I had to kind of have a real heart-to-heart with myself and move Travis Hunter down a little bit. So I'd actually have him down a little bit lower than this spot. I'd still have him ahead of AJ Brown, I think. but down a little bit further than this, just because there are genuine roadblocks for him having this huge role next year. And the way things played out with the injury, the team composition at cornerback, I still think that he will play more offense than defense. I just don't know if he's going to get enough work to be a major fantasy asset unless we see an injury or we just see things sort of shift during the season, which I'm keeping my mind open to. I'm still higher than the average person, I'd say, on Hunter. You know, Klanger's just pushing an agenda here when he says Jesse Minter is going to turn Zay into it. Jesse Minter, the defensive head coach. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to take a lot of credit. Unless you mean turning Zay into an elite cornerback, but that would not be good for your dynasty bags. All right, boys, let's start making some picks here. This draft is just dragging along. We're almost an hour in. We're through 6 rounds. Let's pick up the pace. Chase Brown, Cam Ward. I get the Chase Brown pick. I just don't think I have it in me. I will say I did see a report that they were maybe looking at an extension for Chase Brown. I mean, maybe he's just a guy at this point. Maybe he's just Kyron Williams at this point. He is, above reproach at running back, and he's just going to continue to get absolutely force-fed touches for multiple years. In which case, I mean, this is about where you would want to take him. I'd probably still take the 107, the 108 over him. But at that point, you got to consider, because he's going to be projected very well for next year. He's probably going to be a second round redraft pick, if I had to guess. We do get 107 off the board to Frielster here with Will Reichard. Cam Ward is interesting. I definitely think he belongs in this range. I have seen a couple, mainly from one Twitter doctor in particular, but he did have a grade 3 AC sprain, and nobody's really talking about it other than just a couple of people that are like, hey, this is actually like a pretty bad injury, and hope it doesn't affect his ability to throw the ball. But that could be like a real out of left field problem that could come up for Cam Ward. I don't know if we should be factoring that in. He didn't get surgery, but I'm not really sure if that's a concern or not. Yeah, I don't want to shorten the clock on these guys because there's no sleeper ADP. Like, they're probably working very hard to get their queues set up and make these decisions. So we're going to give them a little bit of grace. I'm not going to stick with them through all 30 rounds. We'll wrap this thing up by like round 20 at least. And I mentioned it earlier in the stream, but I am going to be doing some awards around round 15, which I guess is going to be like an hour from now. We'll see. I'm going to be doing some awards around the end of round 15. Some like senior superlative type awards here on some of these teams, just to inject a little bit of fun. We get Ken Walker here at 6'9", very nice pick at a nice draft slot. I want to believe in Kenneth Walker so bad. He's so awesome. I'm worried that what plays out here is because of the Charbonnet injury, he's going to get re-signed, and then he's going to be really awesome like at the beginning of the year, and then we're going to get Charbonnet back in there, or they're going to sign some, whatever running back off the street like Brian Robinson, and they're going to throw him right back into this like weird timeshare where he doesn't get the goal line work. I want to believe in the breakout really badly, but I also got burned by him last year, and you have the Clint Kubiak departure, which I guess could play out well or poorly. Kubiak's zone scheme is great for Walker, so that's been really good. A different coach might just be fine leaving Walker in at the goal line, which would do more for his fantasy value than anything. So we'll see. On talent alone, super valid pick here. Tyler Shuck comes off the board in the 6th round. He's really been a riser since the season wrapped up. I think people realizing that he's pretty legit, to be honest. And Kellen Moore is a good coach. He's got some mobility to him. He could be kind of your discount Bo Nix option right now, in a way. Love to see Wes with the snap picks here. He understands. Don't want to keep the people waiting. We go JMO, Jared Goff, Cam Little as the 108 pick, and then Kyron Williams to start off our 7th round. And we're moving. Clanger makes an excellent point here. 200 viewers, but only 49 likes. How is that happening, guys? Come on. Help me out. Let's boost this thing up. JSR Lucia Waddle is not available. He actually just went at 7:03. Nico, you go ahead and code this for me. You go ahead and code this rookie pick updater for me on that I can put on the screen, and I will do it. So when you get into these middle rounds, I think you kind of have a decision point where, depending on how you've started your draft, I like to start my draft with some like really safe young players. Like I like to take the 101, the 102. I like to take Neighbors and Genty and Tet McMillan. And then here I'm kind of cool in the middle rounds, maybe reaching a little bit on some productive players. So like guys like Devonta Smith, not really my favorite types of assets to take in this range where they're kind of, you know, they're safer, they're relatively young players, they're stable. I'd be kind of inclined to, like if a Chase Brown type was still here, I'd be inclined to swing on that type of an asset, knowing that I've already built up this nice floor. On the other hand, if you have like traded picks to go up and get extra assets and you actually have maybe a bit of a fragile team, then I can understand going with some safer, younger guys that are maybe falling here because they don't project as like elite scorers, but they're pretty safe. It's a little choose your own adventure here. I'm also totally fine just loading up on picks. As I said earlier, I think picks are getting faded. Not so badly in this one. In other startups though, they're getting faded so dramatically. People are taking really like low ceiling players, really like fragile players over late first, over early seconds. I just don't really see a point in doing that. So I'd be taking picks pretty aggressively in a lot of startups right now. Zach, I'm familiar with this, the rookie pick tracker. I just, he was mentioning something that would like be updated on the screen. I do know about the South Harmon. South Harmon has a rookie pick tracker that you can do. It'll just like map onto your league. It's very helpful for sure. I would definitely use that. Shocked emoji. I do team reviews. Yes, I do team breakdowns. There is a link in the description to a Google form where if you want us to sign up for a team breakdown, you can do that. Down in that description as well, guys, I mentioned it earlier, there is a link to the free Pure Potential Discord. That's where I posted this league. We got it filled last week. There's lots of awesome people in there talking about Dynasty. In my humble and unbiased opinion, it is the best Dynasty community on the internet. We have over 1,600 members in the Discord. So yeah, check that out as well. Frielster goes with RJ Harvey here as his RB2 in the 7th round. I'm not mad at it. I just wish Harvey had done a little bit better this year because I was high on him and he has really struggled as a rusher. I've seen some charts showing him versus Dobbins like in the same offense, and he's just been much less effective. Like there's no real way around it. I think it's pretty likely they bring Dobbins back or somebody like Dobbins, and then it's a question of how much work is Harvey losing, especially rushing work near the goal line. He's a big enough guy that he can do that, but yeah, it makes me a little bit more cautious. I think he does belong in this late first range. Hard to say if he would have been my exact pick there, but don't mind it. How do you join one of these leagues? I mean, this is the first time I've ever done this. I just posted in the Find a League channel within the Discord that it was open, that I wanted to do this. And I said, send a message if you want to participate and join a real Dynasty League to draft on a live stream. And the first 12 people that said yes got in a league, and we set it up. I don't know if I'll like tweak the process in the future, but for now, that's how we're doing things. And I would love to do this again. Algier to the Broncos. I love that idea. I'm pretty sure I said that exact thing on the members live stream last week. We did a members live stream. We looked at all 32 backfields in the NFL, and I think I pitched Tyler Algier to the Broncos as a fit that made sense. If you're interested in those streams, become a YouTube member. We talked about all the wide receivers and tight ends on all 32 teams this past week, and this upcoming week we're going to talk about coaching changes. So if for whatever reason you like hearing my voice talk about football, you can get an extra hour or so of that every single week as a YouTube member. Wow, Enduro Zach with a big endorsement here. He made the championship in both the leagues that I reviewed. 10 out of 10. Definitely taking full credit for that. I'm sure Zach had no part in that. I'm sure variance wasn't involved at all. It was just my advice. So the proof is in the pudding, guys. Neighborhood Watch. I think he might have just got auto-picked here. That is a tough scene. Maybe he had Henry in his queue. I'm not sure. I'm a little sketched out by that. He went on auto pick and he took Boswell, and that must have been a Q pick because that would not have been the highest player. But then he took Derrick Henry like right after the turn. I don't know if we want to. Maybe that's his pick. I'm not going to assume anything. It could have been his pick. But he did just turn off auto. There was a question earlier. What do I think about Kyler Murray? I lost the message. I can't find it now, but I think Kyler Murray's probably a little undervalued in Superflex leagues. He's going to start somewhere. So I think people have taken the Kyler Murray panic way too far. He was behind J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix on Keep Trade Cut. The last time I checked, I just think that's too far. So I do like here, Rich goes Jacobs, ETN on the turn. I think those guys are pretty valid in the late first range. Can't be too mad at that. He's definitely going for like a win now build. I assume he traded his first to get this extra pick early with Puka Nacua. So you might as well make it count. You know, get some running backs you can play before they dry up. Javonte Williams, similar type of pick. Frielster goes with Aronde Gadsden as his tight end 1 in the 8th round. It's about the right value in tight end premium. Where do we sit with rookie picks? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 off the board. So the next rookie pick is the 111. Oh, I stand corrected. Rich actually managed to pull this off while keeping his 2027 first. Well, that's pretty fun. You get 2 first-round picks and don't have to give up your first. That's, what do you know? Traded Walker and Kincaid for Harvey and Devonta. Is that bad? No tight end premium. No, I wouldn't say that's bad. I'd prefer Walker to Harvey, but I definitely prefer Devonta to Kincaid in non-tight end premium. So I think you gave up the best asset in that deal, but I'd say value-wise, it is totally fine. Bryce Young. Dalton started out with 6 straight picks with no quarterbacks, and now he has as many or more than anybody else in the entire draft with 3. Cam Ward, Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young. Can't say Bryce Young is my favorite quarterback in the world. Not a guy that I'm passing up on a first-round pick for. I don't care what the class looks like. Don't tell anybody I said this. I think Bryce Young kind of sucks. So I have him valued a little bit below this point, but he is a starter next year. Maybe it's a year 4 breakout for Bryce Young. He just hasn't been a particularly good NFL quarterback or fantasy quarterback. So it's kind of like a double whammy there, where you're not getting a lot of safety or production in the near term, but I can understand what the options drying up why you might go that route. We finally get 111 off the board with Tyler Bass. And then we get Ricky Pearsall, Slick Rick Pearsall, to Random Nacho. So, yeah, my take is once these picks have names attached, and these names are players that go, in the first and second round of the NFL draft, I kind of think all of these picks are going to be valued a little bit higher than where they are right now. I think that... I'm just not sure that anybody's giving up the 112 for Jordan Addison or Ricky Pearsall in March or in April when there's a real player to be drafted there. Maybe I'm wrong. There's no way to know in advance. I can only go off of what we've seen in past years, and every year is a little bit different. So maybe this is the year that we don't see the same type of rookie pick hype. Maybe it's because of the content machine that is just so relentlessly going after this rookie class, but I'm willing to bet on this being all a little bit overblown. Cole, you can't be serious here. You really think you should have gone Ricky over the 111? Be for real, bro. No shot. Oh, man, we got Michael Wilson off the board. Over the 201. Get your guys. Michael Wilson, 8'11". Here's my question. Why is Michael Wilson going 2.5 rounds after Marvin Harrison? I'll let you guys decide if that's a real question or not. West with another sharp pick, snatches up Kyler Murray, and then he goes Jaden Higgins. Wes, are you a YouTube member? I feel like you're following awfully close to the Pure Potential rankings right now. Not trying to expose you or anything. I'm just curious. I don't remember seeing you in the Discord, but maybe you have a different username. I don't know, man. I like the picks. I do like the picks. He is cooking. I think there's one guy that sticks out to me as a pretty nice value. Maybe 2 guys. I won't name them for fear of being stoned, but yeah. I mean, you guys already know by now. I pretty much always think that the rookie picks are a good value whenever they go off the board. Oh, there's Jaden Reed, 902. I'll definitely say C. Zaper is the guy who is the least concerned with ADP, I would say. But he's drafting good, talented players. The Michael Wilson breakout was a product of scheme changes. Can you elaborate on that? I'm not actually here to argue that Michael Wilson is like definitively better than Marvin Harrison. I'm not saying that at all. I do think it's like crazy that some people will shut you down and say you can't even talk about it, as if Marvin Harrison has proven anything in the NFL. To be perfectly clear, like I have Marvin Harrison at least 2 tiers ahead of Michael Wilson in my dynasty rankings. But I would like to hear the follow-up of that, what you mean by specifically by scheme changes that benefited Michael Wilson, and why those same changes didn't benefit Marvin Harrison to like the same degree. Carbasher, this is a really, really funny comment for reasons I can't fully elaborate on yet, but if everybody sticks around long enough, that's going to be a very, very funny comment. Well, this is absolutely true. They did start throwing a lot more with Brissett, but that's why Michael Wilson was scoring as like a top 10 wide receiver. Regardless of him throwing a lot more, you can still see like on a per route basis, Michael Wilson was far out producing anything we saw from Marv. Target share was higher. Yards per route run was higher. It definitely was the right place, right time. And that's why I'm not saying like Michael Wilson is a smash. Like I wouldn't have even taken him that high. I don't think he's going to continue what we saw last year necessarily. I just think that a lot of excuses are made for Marvin Harrison when he could have benefited from a lot of the same stuff. I know he was banged up in the back half of the year, but it's just so crazy that like Michael Wilson steps into this role that's vacated and immediately is like, oh, he's just getting a higher target share and he's converting more contested catches and he's more efficient per catch. Like 15 catches in one game, just absolutely absurd stuff. But yeah, I mean, no question. Garbage time, high volume, YOLO ball. It's totally part of the equation there. I'm actually not picking in this draft, Michael Douglas. I don't have a team. I don't have a dog in this fight. I am just watching the draft, commentating, giving my thoughts on everything that's going down. That way I don't have the stress of like picking a spot, setting a queue and all that. Maybe I'll jump into one at some point, but I do like being able to just take it easy, field questions, all that. We did see Parker Washington go off the board here. Man, Frillster with all the ball knower picks. It's almost like he has access to my rankings. I do really like that pick. I think it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle with Parker Washington. I think that guy's actually just really good. Matthew Golden, a little higher than I'd like to go on Golden to bet on the bounce back here. We actually have 3 of the Packers wide receivers all in this round. Somebody take Romeo Doubs quick. Interesting, these guys after such different seasons falling into this round. JJ McCarthy, I think there's another quarterback on the board that should definitely be valued ahead of JJ McCarthy. We'll see how far he makes it. Is Michael Wilson a sell high candidate? I would say yes. If he's valued like this, I would definitely rather have the 112, 201, 202 over Michael Wilson. At that point, I think then you're fine. I think at that point you're totally fine to take a swing on Wilson versus any of those prospects. But I wouldn't value him quite this high. They put the genie back in the bottle with Worthy. I'm not really sure what the connection is there relative to Parker Washington. I think Parker Washington down the stretch was, just much more impressive from a target standpoint, from a efficiency standpoint than what we saw from Worthy. I also just think like what he does well is just very different. Like the slot role in the Liam Cohen offense is just like, it is a thing. It's a cheat code that's going to produce points. Not to the same degree, but similar to like the Rashee Rice role in the Chiefs offense. It's like, yeah, Rashee Rice is good at that one thing, and that elevates the role, but it's also just a really good role. So if Parker Washington occupies that slot role, he's going to produce no matter what. And he is just genuinely better than me or pretty much anybody else wanted to give him credit for beforehand, because he just hadn't done anything. Michael Wilson or Xavier Worthy? I'll take Michael Wilson over Xavier Worthy. Kenny, I do still value Bowers over McBride. I actually talked about why in the Cornerstones video that I dropped last week. Cornerstone rankings. Very close together for me. I'd have them closer than they went in this. But I do still prefer Bowers. And the Clint Kubiak hire, I think, just cements that for me. We've had a little run of wide receivers. And I understand why they're going. This is where I think the real weak point of the draft is. I think the 8th round and 9th round, roughly speaking, if you're not picking up like falling rookie picks, like you're not getting the 111, 112, 201 there, I am pretty uninspired by the players. I'm just not that excited to take these guys, Alec Pierce, Christian Watson, Xavier Worthy. Not that they're bad picks, not that there's like guys I clearly prefer, but yeah, I don't know. I'd rather trade out of this range. I'd probably, if I was moving, before a draft or early in a draft, taking those 9th or 10th round picks and trying to move up to get another stud, or trading down into the 11th or 12th round to get any kind of picks on top, I think would be preferable. I don't think I could quite bring myself to this extreme degree to trade the 102 and Luther Burden for the 101. I mean, I think Jeremiah Love is a great prospect, but I don't think the gap between him and the second best prospect is big enough to go that far. And there is the value. I've been waiting on the Daniel Jones pick. Great pick here from Simon. He's got himself a nice little quarterback room here. Daniel Jones. I mean, I just don't get it, guys. Why is Daniel Jones going this late? He's going to get re-signed by the Colts. They're probably going to give him a multi-year deal. He's got great weapons. He was performing well. I know there's a tiny little detail that he tore his Achilles, but other than that, everything looks good for Daniel Jones. I'm just letting you guys know, I would 100% take Daniel Jones ahead of Bryce Young and ahead of JJ McCarthy, like pretty easily. So I think that's a great pick. DeAndre Swift, another great pick. Surprisingly, never thought I'd find myself pounding the table for DeAndre Swift as a value, but I think at this point, he is very likely to kind of stick around in the same type of role he had this year. That makes him pretty solid value. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate Christian Watson at all. I don't think he's ever going to be a super high volume receiver. He's going to have to live on deep play, efficiency, and touchdowns. I don't think you're ever flirting with, 15 plus points per game with him, but definitely a guy I would like a little bit more in a best ball format. I traded 109 Pickens and Adunze for Neighbors and Parker Washington. What are your genuine thoughts, man? I don't know. What are my genuine thoughts? Initial reaction is I definitely like getting Neighbors. You got by far the best piece in the deal. Pickens, Rome. As somebody who's lower on Rome than most. I'm gonna call that a win. I like that trade. Yeah, I'm good with that one. So I'm less enthused by the Monungai pick, just because I don't see Monungai with the same type of ceiling. He's not as much of a pass catcher as Swift, and I don't know that he's like good enough on the ground that he's ever really going to command more than like a 50-50 share of a backfield. He feels kind of like a David Montgomery light type of player. He's going to have a role. He's going to be a guy you can plug into the flex or whatever. But I'm less excited. I think Swift just has a little bit more of a ceiling with the manufactured screen passes and stuff that he can get paired with, the explosive runs, the touchdowns and that. Talent wise, I wouldn't say there's a huge gap. I just think the usage favors Swift there by a good bit. Ooh, sharp pick here from Random Nacho to go ahead and grab Malik Willis in Superflex. I mean, probably the highest upside guy still on the board here. There's a lot of hype surrounding Willis right now, potentially getting signed to be a starter somewhere. I think that's a really sharp pick. As far as rookies, I know this was 111, 12, 201, 202, 203. So 204 is our next rookie pick. That's right on the line for me with guys like Willis and Tootin, Swift. But yeah, I would say, very, very high upside here with Willis. What is this type of, I hear comments like this all the time. What exactly does this mean? Like he's Ben Johnson's guy. Like, what does it mean to be someone's guy? Like, is Blake Corum not Sean McVay's guy? Like, are we saying that Monungai is going to get usage beyond what he deserves because he's like personally liked by Ben Johnson? I just again, I don't see the skill set for him to really be an every down back. And I don't think anything we saw last year would suggest he's going to be an every down back. Is he going to be with the Bears long term as the 50-50 part of a committee? Probably. I'm not saying they're going to rush out and replace him. I just don't really see the ceiling for him. I don't think he's going to get 70% of the touches and get all the goal line work or anything, personally. And he's not that young either. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't see his role growing in any tremendous way, but I could be wrong. All right, guys, Taylor Moon has spoken way too early for Malik Willis. Way too early, guys. I mean, if he gets signed tomorrow to be the starter for the Miami Dolphins, he's going to be valued higher than every single player that went within 2 rounds of him. So, I don't know. I'm kind of the opinion that when the next best rookie pick on the board is 204 and you're in a startup where you've already drafted a lot of young players, you have a very valuable team, why would we not swing for the fences? I think it's pretty short-sighted to call that a dumb pick. Could it not work out? Sure. Tons of 10th round picks don't work out. We just saw Trey Benson go off the board. That guy might never start a game as a running back. We just saw Devontae Adams go off the board, 33-year-old wide receiver. Like, could he still be good next year? He could be. Could he be completely washed next year? Of course. Yes. This is a place that you can take swings. I think Malik Willis is a great swing. I don't understand the negativity on that pick. Nice little running back run here, though, with Tootin, Algier, Benson, Stevenson. I think I'd value them Tootin, Algier, Stevenson, and then I'd have Benson lower, personally. I understand the thought process with Benson. It's just the coaching staff that brought him in is gone. He's never made it through an entire game as a starter. James Conner's still under contract. It's a pretty good free agency class. Now we've got Mike LaFleur coming over from the Rams. They've been running this little, 1-2 committee with Kyren and Corum. I don't know. I think it's pretty optimistic to think that Benson's going to get the Kyren side of whatever that looks like. So I just don't have a lot of faith in him. Former third round picks, hasn't really done anything in the league. Not really any evidence that he's good. I think he could kind of just disappear before he ever really has a chance to prove anything. Sharkbait finally gets back on the clock here in the 11th round with Pat Bryant. He's going with a youth movement here. Probably just go second. Probably just go rookie pick there, but Terry McLaurin, Josh Downs. Terry McLaurin could end up being a value. He was a guy that I was never really in on at price, and I think he's probably fallen to a point where I'm okay to be in on him. He's going to be 31 next year, but like, I don't necessarily think he's diminished in any way. Jaden Daniels will be back. New offensive system. They have no other weapons. Deebo Samuel's a free agent. Zach Ertz is done. Like they'll bring in somebody, but either way, there's going to be a ton of target opportunity available for McLaurin. I never liked him when he was being priced as if he might actually score as a wide receiver 1, but now he doesn't have to do that. He can just be a wide receiver 2 and he can return value here. So I think he's a good pick. And surprisingly, Michael Penix actually falls to a pretty reasonable price tag. He goes after the 204 here. He goes after Downs, Bryant. I'd actually have taken Penix over some of these guys, and I'm not a Penix enjoyer, but I think at that point you want to swing on a guy that is very likely to be a week 1 starting quarterback. And I would have to guess he's my highest ranked player right now. Yeah, he was. Oh, brother. Why does this league have kickers? You guys got to get out more, dude. The kickers are rookie picks. They're rookie picks. Oh, man. That's all right. It happens. All right. We've officially reached the point where we're just taking roster clogging wide receivers here. Jalen McMillan. What's the purpose of a Jalen McMillan? I don't really know. He's a young wide receiver, sure. Is he ever going to produce anything? I think he exists to merely be a thorn in the side of Emeka Egbuka drafters. Is that Doc Birdie? One gifted membership? Doc Birdie, one of the absolute legends of the Pure Potential Discord. I think he might actually be the highest leveled member. In other words, biggest yapper in the Discord. Apparently he's been like weirdly shadow banned from sending messages on the chat. I don't think he did anything wrong. But somehow this got through with like a weird no profile picture. Appreciate you sending that membership through, King. I don't actually know how that works at all. Does some random person just get it? Oh, it looks like David Elliott 9493 got it. I don't remember seeing that icon before. Hey, that's awesome. I don't think we've ever had a gifted membership on the channel before. That's pretty cool. Love it. We'll have to figure out how to get him unbanned so he can send messages in the chat. I don't know what happened to the poor guy. Oh, man. All right, Blake Corum here in round 11. You got yourself a high upside handcuff and like a little flex play, bye week fill-in type of guy. I whiffed big time on Blake Corum. I was a big Jarquez Hunter fan last offseason, and clearly that was not the right move because Blake Corum looked a lot better in year 2 than he did in year 1. All right, Rich Hill just loading up on the rookie picks here. He goes ahead and grabs 2-0. Man, I've lost count here. 205 and 206, I think. I would take 205 and 206 over Jalen McMillan, Isaiah Likely, Blake Corum pretty easily. And that's what I mean when I say I just think people are too low on these picks. Like, yes, do they have a low chance of hitting? Probably, but so do the players that we're taking over them. And at least the rookies have this upside to them where they're cheap and they have this high ceiling of value. I'd rather swing on that personally. Or just take a Sutton, like a Sutton or a Myers. Like these guys are, at least you know what you're getting with these guys. You can plug them in as wide receiver 2, 3 hybrids there. Oops, my bad. Yeah, I just got confirmation here. Last rookie pick off the board there was 206. Appreciate it. Wan'Dale Robinson. Free agent, by the way. Somebody call their shot. Where is Wan'Dale Robinson going in free agency? I think he's going to get kind of a bag this offseason, and I don't think he's going to go back to the Giants. I think he's going to go somewhere else. I don't know exactly where. I could see a team like the Titans or the Raiders that just have like no talent and all the money in the world giving Wan'Dale Robinson a really irresponsible amount of money. Kind of like the Christian Kirk contract that he got with the Jaguars, where everybody was like, Christian Kirk got how much money? I could see that happening. The cap going up. These teams need wide receivers. They have more money than they can spend. You've got guys like Wan'Dale, Romeo Dobbs out there on the market that are, available to get. So, yeah, I think that's a solid pick. He really showed a lot this year relative to previous years where he was kind of a PPR scam, low ADOT slot receiver. Like he can actually do more than that. Jalen Coker off the board, 1205. Brandon Ayuk next. I think those are some nice picks. I like Coker. Moved him up a bit in the rankings after that playoff game. My biggest holdup with Coker is just Bryce Young. Like I think Ted McMillan is really, really good and is going to improve in year 2. And so it's like, how much do I believe in a second wide receiver for the Panthers in a non-best ball format? It's a tough pill to swallow, but I do think he's talented enough to just do it. Oh yeah, I like this shout. Titans following Brian Daboll. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, to be honest with you. That makes a ton of sense. Wan'Dale to the Titans. Caleb Johnson, 1207. Again, I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but like the 207 is right there. Do we really have more faith in the running back that literally just got ghosted for his entire rookie season than we do over the 207? Like Caleb Johnson was like the 201 last year. Literally can't buy a snap on offense for his entire rookie season. Returning to a team that currently has no quarterback and has Jalen Warren under contract, might re-sign Kenny Gainwell too. Do we really like that guy more than the 207? Like, I just personally don't. I would just rather start over with a rookie. But that's a very common sentiment. Just like, take any player. Like, any player is better than having a pick. It's weird to me. He could get opportunity with a new coach. I'm not saying Caleb Johnson can't ever do anything. I'm just saying if I'm playing probabilities, if I'm betting, I would just rather bet on a rookie. But yeah, I mean, totally new coach getting in there, new offensive coordinator. Maybe it was a weird Arthur Smith thing. He could get more opportunities. Any ideas for how I can shop? Sorry, what was the question? Liam, can you repeat your question there, Liam? All right. 207, 208. Go off the board with the next 2 picks. George Kittle is such a weird player. So Frielster takes him. Pretty sure he's a 49ers fan. So definitely a homer pick there. But yeah, he's a really weird case where we don't know how soon he's going to be ready. We don't know how healthy he's going to be. He's really old, but he's also extremely elite. I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about George Kittle. I've had a very hard time ranking him because it's a very binary thing. Like if he gets back on the field healthy early enough in the season, he's going to be an absolute steal at this valuation. And at the same time, he could just literally never be the same player again. And then you're burning an asset on nothing. I tend to like to bet on the high ceiling versus these kind of replaceable players. Like what do you miss out on if you don't have one of these later guys like a Caleb Johnson, like a TJ Hawkinson, Jalen Coker? Like, what are you really missing out on in terms of ceiling? I think it's fine to swing. It's just really hard to rank him. Hawkinson over Ferguson is an interesting call. Not something I would expect to see in really any startup. I mean, I'm a Ferguson fader, but I'd still take him over Hawkinson just because they're both kind of in a similar spot of having two wide receivers that are clearly ahead of them. But Ferguson is younger and has a way, 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 way better quarterback situation. So even if Hawkinson is still better, which I've seen little evidence of recently, I just don't know how much it's going to matter. Oh, man. I forgot about Jonathan Brooks. That's a fun pick. Yeah, I like getting Jonathan Brooks thrown into deals. There were some positive comments from Dave Canales about Jonathan Brooks. I mean, there's no guarantees when you come off those multiple ACL tears, but he is still really young. And I think if you look at like Javonte Williams as kind of the mold there, Brooks is even younger than Javonte was coming off that second tear. Still 2 years left on his rookie deal. Rico Dowdle is probably going to walk in free agency. It's just him and Chuba Hubbard there. Chuba Hubbard kind of proved he is a movable object this season. So I think Brooks is really fun stash. I wouldn't go too crazy with his value. I think this was a good spot for him. I could definitely see taking him like maybe like middle of last round. I'm not trying to belabor the point. I do like Brooks a little bit more than Caleb Johnson, I think, just because I thought he was a better all-around prospect. And his team just seems a little bit more interested in his existence right now. Brooks, Dowdle, Hubbard within 4 picks of each other is pretty funny. John, I'm not really trading anything for Tonjes. I mean, I would be fine trading like a 4th round pick for him if you have Kittle or if you just have like a weak tight end room and you want to swing on somebody. I wouldn't go too crazy. He's actually a free agent, I think. Most likely outcome is that he returns, but you have Kittle pushing to get back on the field early in the season. So I think he's mostly a handcuff tight end. Turn Dog Golf Podcast. Can I ask why you're lower on Benson, high on Brooks? Yeah, I think Brooks was just a way better prospect all around. He was drafted higher. I think the team is more actively invested in him. Like it's the same coaching staff that's been there the whole time and consistently been giving updates like, hey, we're excited to get him back. I just think he's a better player. I think he's a higher ceiling than Benson. And I think kind of the sequencing of like how things played out with Trey Benson in particular is just, it makes it hard for me to think anyone's going to come in and view him as reliable. And it's not even entirely his fault, but just he does nothing as a rookie. He's finally forced into action in year 2. He immediately gets hurt, can't even finish a game with this MCL injury that just like lingers and like weirdly seems like it's over. And then he keeps re-aggravating it and he like gets close to getting back on the field, but doesn't. And then he just doesn't play the whole year. I just think it's hard for someone to walk in and say like, yep, that's the guy. That's the guy we're making our starter. And we're not going to have any contingency backup plans. We're just going to roll with this guy. I just struggle to see it. At the same time, I'm also just more skeptical of the Cardinals in general. Just a lot of volatility with that team. Yo, welcome to the members. ZCR Gator. You'll fit right in with the Mr. Krabs profile picture. I love it. Tua Tagovailoa finally comes off the board here in the 13th round. Is it too high? I feel like this is arguably higher than I would even take him. I don't know. Is he going to start somewhere? What do you guys think? Is he even going to get out of the Dolphins building? Because I don't know how they can get rid of him. That's the tricky part. Is he going to get Kirk Cousins and just end up being a backup to Malik Willis or whoever they bring in? Because it's really, really hard to get him off the team. It's like a $99 million cap hit. Just so you know, guys, Michael Badgley there in the 13th round. That represents our 211 pick. So we're almost through 2 rounds of rookie selections. And I think most of them have been pretty good values. There's a couple players I'm surprised haven't gone. Just based on how they're generally perceived. Some wide receivers I'll be keeping an eye on here. Maybe 1 or 2 running backs in this upcoming run. Hey man, love to hear this. Welcome to the Dynasty world. Hope we can get you set up with a bunch more startup drafts so you can have the disease that all of us have. But yeah, man, love it. Hope to see you in the members chat. Yeah, I'm not taking Tua over any second round pick personally. Oh, I'm sorry guys, it's not updating. That's my bad. I was on a different tab, and when I go on a different tab, it just like stops loading. So we get Dylan Sampson here. We wrap around the turn with AJ Barner, like that pick in tight end premium, and J.K. Dobbins. I think both of those are good. Both of those are good value picks. We're almost around 15, which is when we're going to start giving out some awards here based on the draft. Let me just try to show everybody's teams. We've got Rich Hill, did some moving around. He's got Allen and Lawrence at quarterback, Puka, T. Higgins, Xavier Worthy at wide receiver, Jacobs, ETN, Dobbins at running back, Barner at tight end, and he's got some rookie picks that he can use to kind of fill in the gaps there. He's got a first rounder and then a few seconds as well. Neighborhood Watch also moved around the board quite a bit. He's got May and Hurts, double elite quarterback off the rip. Tedero McMillan, Travis Hunter, Quentin Johnson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Cortland Sutton, Chris Godwin. He's pretty loaded up at wide receiver. He's got Quinshon Judkins. Somebody asked me about Quinshon. Yeah, I mean, I'm worried about the injury. I mean, it's a pretty concerning injury. He should play week 1. It's just whether he's going to be 100%. And then an equally valid concern is just the Browns, right? Like, who is their quarterback? How's their offensive line going to look? Is he going to have any room to operate? I think is another question, but I don't have much of an issue with him as like a late 4th, early 5th rounder. Tucker Kraft, Bretton Strange on this team. Derrick Henry, I think, was an accidental pick. Dylan Sampson. So kind of fading running backs here. Very much a young team overall with the Henry pick kind of sticking out. I think that one was a mistake. Ryan didn't make any moves. He stayed in his original spots. He goes Jamar Chase, Achane, Cook, McCaffrey. Very robust running back type of build. Nix and Darnold holding it down at quarterback. He's a big fan of playoff success as an indicator for his dynasty quarterbacks. Kyle Pitts holding it down at tight end 1. We got Marvin Harrison, Alec Pierce, DK Metcalf. Solid wide receiver group, despite not investing too much early. Sharkbait has definitely the most unconventional of drafts here, where he trades a lot of his picks for future capital. Loads up on some young wide receivers. Takes a swing on a few running backs. Isaiah Likely, tight end 1. Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback 1. I think we can say he's definitely in the running here for the first overall pick, which makes sense. I mean, it's a good year to have it. Jason, JSN, Bowers, Olave, his first 3 picks in those first 4 rounds. Dak, he's got a nice group of quarterbacks here with Dak Stroud, Daniel Jones, Michael Penix. Pretty solid team all around. I mean, if you were going to point out a weakness, it would clearly be the running back position. He's going to have to piece some things together here. But not bad. Goes JCM, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt here in round 14, just after Zach Charbonnet. And of course, it had to happen eventually. I'd argue it's about 5-6 rounds too soon, but we do get Shedeur Sanders here off the board. It makes some sense that they also have JJ McCarthy. They just really love a fixer-upper at the quarterback position. And I guess at the wide receiver position with Ayuk and Addison. Just a big fan of like damaged goods here at wide receiver and quarterback. Guys with some red flags on the field, off the field, doesn't matter. DJ Moore was one of the guys I was keeping an eye on. I was surprised that he didn't go sooner. This is even a little bit later than I have him ranked, and I consider myself a pretty major DJ Moore hater. So, surprised he falls this far. That is my bad. I forgot about the Pro Bowl nod for Sanders. Knowing he's a Pro Bowler does change things a little bit. With that in mind, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a future Hall of Famer, still available here. Multiple MVP awards. Tyler Huntley as well, former Pro Bowl quarterback, is still available. And I would argue equally likely to be a week 1 starter in 2026. So might be a good value there. I like the Diggs pick. It's kind of like a cheaper version of the Adams pick, right? 4 rounds later after Devontae Adams. Stephon Diggs had 1,000 receiving yards this year. He definitely had some quiet games, and he hasn't done much in the playoffs, but it's not a given that he's washed. So I think he's a pretty fun swing there. A.D. Mitchell, Mike Evans. Sorry, I was still looking through some teams here. We have another kind of robust running back team with Bijan, Taylor, Chase Brown, DeAndre Swift. I got to say, man, I hate the quarterback room here. Burrow, McCarthy, Sanders, just not for me. Wide receivers are fine. Ladd, Rome, Addison, Downs, Ayuk. Feels like a little bit of a middling team, but we shall see. Dalton, he had our heavy wide receiver start with Henderson. Definitely going light in the running back room here. Still doesn't have a tight end either. He is all in at wide receiver. Lamb, Nico, London, Rice, Thomas, Golden, McLaurin, DJ Moore. He's just taking value where he sees it and probably planning to make some trades down the road, which is totally fine. Frielster, I got to say, guys, early front runner for my favorite team. Gibbs, Amon-Ra, get the nice Lions duo there. Herbert, crazy value on Jordan Love later on. Gets the 102 and some other first rounders as well. RJ Harvey, Jalen Warren, Gadsden Kittle at tight end. He gets some veteran wide receivers that should be usable next year in Jennings and Diggs. Solid team. Nacho, though, good team as well. A lot of value on this team. Neighbors, 101, Dart, Purdy, Fannin, Ken Walker, Devonta Smith, Ricky Pearsall. I like the Malik Willis pick. I like the Ramondre pick. This is a good team. Ryan goes Lamar, Genty, Loveland. Thought that was a fantastic start. I didn't even notice this pick he made in the late 3rd round. He gets another first rounder there. That's the 103. So that's beautiful. Thought he reached a bit on Flowers, whatever. Barkley, Shuck, Waddle. Mixes in some more rookie picks. He's got his 3rd quarterback in Stafford. Scoops the nice value on Brooks. Nice value on Evans. I like that one. Zaper, definitely, most off script here for me. Not a bad team. Jefferson, Caleb, Mahomes, strong start. Bucky, Warren, Jameson, Kyron, Michael Wilson, Jaden Reed, Devontae Adams, Trey Benson, Hawkinson, Ferguson, Taylor, going tight end by committee here late. You can flex tight ends in tight end premium. There's no law against that. And Tajay Spears. And then we get Wes. Another non-trader here on the 12 side. Jaden Daniels, Trey McBride, Amarian Hampton, Harrison Bucker representing the 104. Luther Burden, Jared Goff, Cam Little, another first rounder there. Kyler Murray, Jaden Higgins, Bishal Tuten, Tyler Algier, Jake Ferguson. I like the balance of this team. I like the values on this team. Definitely one of my favorites. We're getting through that round of 15, at which point we are going to assign some awards. And I will stick with you guys through like round 19, 20. We'll wrap this thing up. We'll get out of here. We do not need to watch the rest of this thing after round 20. It's going to be super ugly, super gross. Hopefully a lot of them just turn on auto pick and get through the rest. But Flames, this is a pretty fun fact. 4 Pro Bowl quarterbacks on their roster: Sanders, Flacco, Watson, Huntley. 4 Pro Bowlers, 0 good quarterbacks is quite a ratio. Nice, man. I like the David Montgomery scoop there. And of course, Frailster again. Sick of this guy. D Zook. I mean, I don't mind Jalen Royals as like a end of bench stash. I just really struggle to see him being an important piece when, you know, so many guys missed time last year and he just didn't get on the field, you know, at all. He was already an older prospect, so I know that he was touted as having a lot of the same skills as Rice. I just think it's really like it's not common that we see a player come out as a late declare, go through the whole year on this team that had injuries at wide receiver, never getting on the field, and then suddenly turns into something in the future. He's probably a bit player at best, would be my guess. But again, if you're in a league with 20 bench spots or a taxi squad, there's absolutely no harm in picking him up. But just to, like, for example, he's not in my rankings. He's not in my top 225 Dynasty assets. Jerry Jeudy, Rashid Shaheed, Tony Pollard. We're getting some of the boring vets in here. John Atlas, your Kyle Williams shares are dead as a doorknob. They are buried 6 feet under the ground. I think Kyle Williams will play in the NFL for quite some time. I just think he's going to be like a deep threat situational player. Speak of the devil, man. There's Kyle Williams. I just think he can still develop, I guess, but pretty rough start to his career, I'll say. In a team that had plenty of opportunity available if he was able to seize it. And, you know, I think the wide receiver room is likely to get more crowded as opposed to less. So I'm not putting much stock into him as a guy that's going to break out. I can remember very distinctly one league where I was so loaded at running back, I decided to go Kyle Williams over Cam Scattaboo in my rookie draft. Guys, don't draft rookies for need. Don't do it. Don't ever do it. Oh, there's a better Patriots wide receiver here. Kayshon Boutte. Tyreek Hill, interesting pick. Seems like people think he's going to play this year. Crazy injury to come back from at his age, especially, but I don't mind the price tag in Dynasty. I think he's like a 12th round pick in best ball leagues, and that's just ridiculous to me. But in Dynasty, where the price is like a 3rd round rookie pick, I mean, why not? Okay. All right. Let's kick off the startup award show. If you guys have stuck with me this long, shout out to you, first of all. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you haven't, like the stream, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. We are going to give out some awards, starting with the most likely to win the championship, the title favorite in this league for year one. There are some good contenders. Here's our award. We're going to go ahead and drop it on top of the team that I think is most likely to win the title in year one. And this is a tough competition. I think Ryan over here has a good team. Wes has a good team. I think Frielster has a really strong contending team. This is probably the hardest award for me to decide. This one is like very heavy on immediate production at running back with Achane, Cook, and McCaffrey. Jamar Chase as well. I think if I just have to narrow this down a little bit. I think Rich with his Allen Puka combo is in the conversation. I think Ryan with his Chase Achane Cook combo. I'd love to hear you guys sound off on this because that would help me a little bit actually. I want to give, not that this matters at all, but I do really want to give like a good answer to this and not just kind of throw them out there arbitrarily. So I think I'm between Rich, Ryan, Frielster, and Ryan and Wes. I think these are the 5 teams that look to me like the strongest contenders. I think I'm going to leave Wes out just because he's got a lot of youth here. I wouldn't call him a favorite. I think I'm going to give it to Ryan over here. Like, if I had to pick somebody, he just has to stay healthy and kind of run a little pure, but I think he's probably my title favorite. If I was just doing overall win percentage, power rankings, I think I would put him at the top. So we're going to go ahead and give it to Ryan. Definitely some other good ones in there. Our next award, I don't think will be a super hard one to give out. It is the 2027 101 award for the team that is most likely to be selecting first overall in the 2027 rookie draft. I think we can safely give that to Sharkbait, considering he basically gave it to himself already. Again, one more look at the team. He has sold out this season for future picks. He's looking ahead. He's going to be the 101. You're actually right. I am sleeping on Jason a little bit. I'm going to stick with my pick because the running back room here is just needs a lot more work. But this is a sneaky team for sure. My next pick, or my next award here, is the most valuable team award. Who scooped the best values? Who has the, the number one buying power on this team? It's the guy whose name I've been saying over and over again in this draft. It is the man, the myth, the legend, league winning member, commissioner of this league. It is Frielster. He has the most value. The Jordan Love pick, I think, really sealed the deal for me, getting him in the 6th round. He got really good value on the 102. He got good value on Parker Washington. He got good value on Steph Diggs and David Montgomery. I think he got good values throughout this draft. So he's getting the most value award. The next one is the Got His Guys award. All right. Who is the most free thinking manager in this draft? Who doesn't care about my rankings? Who doesn't care about ADP? He's just drafting good players. You already know who it's going to be. It's going to be my man here at the 111. C. Zaper. I knew it from the second he took Jefferson Caleb to start this draft. He was going to get this award. He got his guys. He got the guys he wanted. They're not the guys I would have taken at every spot. But you know what? I get a lot of stuff wrong. Once upon a time, I thought JSN was a sell. So what do I know? He got his guys. We'll see how it works out for him. But he never strayed from his own evaluations. Michael Wilson, Jaden Reed, Trey Benson, TJ Hawkinson, taking guys higher than the consensus would. And our 5th and final award today, this is literally so funny because someone said these exact words earlier in this live stream. And I was like, how do they know? How do they know about the last award? The last award is the Paul's Burner Award for the person who is drafting as if I am pulling the strings, as if I am making all the picks for them. And that is my guy, Wes. Every time he's on the clock, it's like he's in my brain, taking the guys that I would have taken. So we gotta give it to him. He's my burner account. Clearly. Jaden Daniels, Trey McBride, Amari Hampton. He goes with the 104. Luther Burden, Jared Goff. He gets the Kyler Murray value. He scoops the Bashal Tutin value. He knows exactly what I'd be doing with these picks. So those are my awards, guys. Oh, hold on. Come on. We need this to scoot down a little bit. All right, let me fix let me fix this real quick. Hold on. Nope, that's not what I meant to do. All right, we are going to have to figure out a better way to do this. There we go. Look at that. Fixed it. All right, let's catch up on a round and a half of value of picks here as we get into the home stretch. We left off with Tyreek Hill to end the 15th round. We go Braylon Allen, Jalen Knoll. Still working out some rookie picks here. Tyrone Tracy, Rashad White, some veteran tight ends. These guys can be nice values. You know, you punt the tight end position, you just grab one of these reliable guys, Hunter Henry, Dallas Goedert, Dalton Schultz, Juwan Johnson enters that conversation. We've got some year 2 wide receivers coming up here in Alec Ayomanor, Chim DK, Jack Besh. Some other year 2 guys, Devin Neal, Ollie Gordon, Jalen Milrow. Debo could be a nice value here. He's a free agent. He could land somewhere decent that's fit for his skill set. Mac Jones. If I'm wrong about Mac Jones and he actually does get traded, that's going to be a good value. I don't think he's going to get traded. So I think you're drafting a handcuff there. Still not a bad pick. But there is, you know, I could be wrong. Maybe they're more willing to trade him than I think. I just think it's going to cost a lot. For what it's worth, I think we're up to 304 in the rookie picks. Yeah, next pick is 304. Isaac Tesla. This is truly a part of the draft where you can absolutely get your guys. Like no question about it. You can take whoever you want here. You're talking about mid 3rd round rookie picks. You're talking about guys that are probably bad, guys that don't have starting jobs. Why not? Romeo Doubs actually, unironically, great value. Great value here in the 17th round. I mean, the odds of Isaac Tesla having a better career than Romeo Doubs, slim to none. Doubs could get a lot of money in free agency to go somewhere. Like he could go to the Raiders. They need kind of like they need a competent X wide receiver. They have infinite cash. Why not? Is that the Justin Ritter? The GOAT? In a bunch of leagues with this guy. He always wins our trades though. It's really annoying. Torrey Horton, Tank Dell, Kirk Cousins. One of my favorite picks in this draft. Not even kidding. Kirk Cousins, great pick. Gonna be a starter next year somewhere. So many crappy quarterback situations in the NFL. He's gonna get released. He's going to be a starter. I don't know if it's for the Jets. I don't know if it's for the Cardinals, if it's for the Browns. He's going to start somewhere. Just you wait. Could be the Dolphins. I don't know. It's going to be somewhere. Tank Bigsby. Guys, we're going to wrap this thing up soon. So if you have any lingering questions, get them out. No guarantees, by the way. This stuff's always fluid, but I am working on a video for this week that is my first 2026 focused video. Some rookie talk, some talk about the class in general, how people are treating the picks. I've talked through some of the stuff today, but just kind of my overview of like how I see this class, how I think we should approach it in Dynasty, what you should do with picks that you have right now, all that stuff. I haven't finished it yet. I think it's going to come together nicely. But yeah, hopefully that'll be out Thursday. So keep an eye out. I will look for opportunities to do this type of thing again. I'm sure we'll have like mock drafts as well. All that good stuff. Do I prefer 4-point or 6-point passing touchdown? I think I like 6-point. I think that it's a little better balanced with full PPR. But I don't really have that big of a preference. I play in a lot of both. I play in some leagues that are 5-point passing touchdowns as well. I'm not interested in any of the weird like completion bonuses or incompletion negative points. I don't want any of that. Favorite picks of the last 5 rounds? Good question. Starting in round 14, I'd say my favorite selection was Stephon Diggs. I'd say my favorite selection around 15. I hate giving Frielster the credit twice in a row. Probably David Montgomery, but I would also say Kayshawn, good pick. Round 16, probably Debo would be my favorite pick. Round 17, I'll say Romeo Doubs. And round 18, Kirk Cousins. Got to go Kirk Cousins. Doc, you're back. He's back. The man, the myth, the legend. The membership gifter. Love it. Welcome back, dude. Appreciate you. All right. What else did we have here? Oh, yeah, this was a fun one. Oh, so thoughts on Rome. I think Rome Odunze is a good wide receiver who is hard to evaluate because of how much he struggled as a rookie and then his stress fracture last year. I am personally in the camp that I think Luther Burden is better than Rome Odunze. I have him ranked higher. That does not mean it is a 0% outcome that Rome comes back next year and is the better target earner. There's a range of outcomes there. I'm just more inclined to bet on the Burden side of that. And that makes it a bit of a target squeeze for the whole Bears offense if you have these 3 really good options in Rome, Burden, and Loveland. So ultimately, I think somebody in that group is going to fail at cost. I'm betting on that to be Rome, but it could easily be Burden. I think Loveland is probably the safest of the 3. But I think they're all reasonable investments what they cost right now. Got to get my guy Nico's question here. He's a league winner. Wide receiver 1, running back 1, tight end 1, quarterback 1 in fantasy points next season. Let's do this quick. I'll go Jamar Chase. Bijan Robinson, Brock Bowers. Quarterback, I mean, let's just get crazy. Let's go, no, maybe not. I don't want to go that crazy. Let's go Lamar Jackson. Dark horse candidate, Jackson Dart. Justin, favorite Super Bowl bet, Trevion Henderson, fastest ball carrier, plus 1,000. That's a great bet. I mean, that's pretty fun. I like that. Could be Kyle Williams. What's his odds? No, I mean, realistically, it's Josh Allen, but like that's so boring. To be honest, I'm not really looking to trade off McBride. Oh, off McBride for Bowers. Never mind. Personally, I don't need anything on top. I would make that trade straight up. I prefer Bowers. If the market is telling you McBride is over Bowers, then just ask for like anything. Like see if you can get a future second thrown in. But like I would take less than that. I would do it straight up. It would be nice to get like a 3rd round pick at least. Just because you're taking the quote unquote worst player. David, I see you here with the Monty Python reference, and I understand it, and I appreciate it. I don't know if I'd call this a smash accept. I think it's a pretty fair deal. I think it would kind of depend on my team. 101 plus Goff for May. Most of the time I would take May there, unless you like already have a really, really strong quarterback room or like a really high value team that needs running backs. I might just take Love, but yeah, I would slightly into the May side there. I would take. I don't have like super strong conviction, but I would pick the Seahawks if I had to choose one. I just think they're just the top to bottom, the better team. All right, guys. Once we get to the end of round 20, I'm going to close this thing out. We'll let these guys finish their draft in peace. This has been a pretty fun experiment. I enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed hanging out and watching. Definitely a great opportunity to interact with some of you guys more than some of the other chaotic streams where I have to focus on drafting. Big shout out again to the guys in the league for being good sports and letting me talk about their picks and give them awards and occasionally maybe spoil their picks and all the other things that they did. Good luck to all of you in the league this year. Definitely have to keep me posted on how this one goes. I know there's a bunch of members in there, so I'm sure they will keep me up to date on it. We're closing this thing out with a little running back run. Jordan Mason, Isaiah Pacheco, Jalen Wright, Ray Davis, Joe Mixon. Why not? Why not at this point? Literally just take anybody. We're getting to the point where I don't even have anybody ranked here. 20 times 12, that's like 240 players, right? If I know how to count. So yeah, we're way down here. All right, gang. Great draft. Have a good night, everybody. I will see you later this week with some more content. Again, for the members, we'll have another stream Friday night, Saturday night. I'll figure it out. Keep an eye out for that. I'll see you in the Discord as well. Take care, everybody.